Hey, how we doing? How's your Wednesday been? Mine has been a bit chaotic. I'm not going to lie. In fact, the whole week has been super busy. I'm just going to go on the lives. I had a little technical issue getting the camera to set up, and it seemed to be one of those ones of turn it off and turn it back on again. So a little bit later than planned. But today I want to cover off cravings, period cravings. Lots of clients talk about not being able to get enough of anything, the cravings when you're just so hungry, um and you can't, and nothing seems to hit the spot. It doesn't matter what you eat, and it's like your bottomless pit and keep eating. So want to cover that off today, but let me know how you're doing. If you're on the StreamYard, give permission so it can show your name, opportunity to ask any questions, and if you're catching the replay, hashtag replay, and you can always DM me any questions. I totally can't multitask, so let me just type this in. You can do. Okay. Okay, we're on the Insta too. So yeah, talking about Wednesday for me is female health for our lives. So we'll always come on and cover something of female health. And I like to cover off what is the topic that's come up most with clients in the past week or two. And certainly cravings around periods. And even if you don't know when your period is, depending on what contraceptive you're on, it's still tuning to certain aspects you'll feel within your body. So you might feel your mood changes. You might feel you're more tired. You might find after training you're not able to go as hard into the strength work and you're a bit slower. So it's that thing of tuning into the other symptoms that you'll still have in the body, because whilst you might not have a period bleed, you'll still have those hormones going on, and cravings might be one of those things. So first up, when we have our period, we're going to use more calories, right? Because your body's doing a process. It's doing amazing things. It's doing all this work without you even having to think about it. So as a result, it will require more energy, more calories is what I'm trying to say. And it's all about starting your body off right. So when we need more calories, when we're maybe craving the foods, and also depending where your mood is. So if you're feeling a bit low, a bit fed up, you might be craving that comfort food too, because your energy is a bit lower too. So there's a mixture of things going on between your energy requirement being a bit higher because you're having your period, but also tuning into where are you in terms of your mood, your feelings, your energy. So you might be feeling a bit more tired, so your body's looking for extra fuel to pick you up. You might be feeling a bit fed up, a bit, oh, the world sucks, and you're looking for comfort food. So what can we do about the cravings? Because even when we give ourselves that comfort food, as many of my clients find, they just keep wanting more and more, and nothing quite hits the spot. So you know what I can say is starting off with a healthy breakfast. I know lots of people do intermittent fasting, and it's one of those things I never like to project my views and thoughts on other people. People want to try intermittent fasting, I'm like, go for it. What works for you, works for you. But it's really interesting because I've had a number of female clients who recently have said, oh, I've done intermittent fasting, and actually I've really never realized how much it was screwing me up in terms of my energy, my mood, and how I was feeling. And it's like that thing, it might work for some people, but it doesn't mean it works for you. So always tune into what works for you. So the advice I'm going to give you, the top tips I'm going to give you today, give them a go, see how they work for you. So the reason I talk about intermittent fasting is because that's obviously when people normally skip breakfast. It's one of the meals they skip as they're fasting. For me, you've got to set yourself up right for the day, especially when our bodies go through this amazing transformation every month with, our period, our hormones flowing up and down, everything it does on a month-to-month basis. Then we need to be looking after our bodies and fueling it. And that's where I say setting yourself up for success and helping you with hunger cravings and sweet cravings is all about having the breakfast. Now, personally for me, if I have my porridge breakfast, so I've got all my seeds in there, my flax seeds, my chia seeds, and I'll have a decent healthy portion of porridge with goat's milk, with my seeds, with fruit, I guarantee I will be hungry an hour and a half later because I've not had protein. So I need to supplement that with protein. So what does that mean? So a protein breakfast is ultimately anything really with eggs. Let's talk about anything with eggs. And some people do use protein powders and chuck them in pancakes. If that works for you, go for it. I would try not to get reliant on protein shakes. I did have one point in my life where I was just living off protein shakes and I didn't enjoy them. I didn't feel particularly good on them. I don't really think they actually help my digestive system. I get quite an upset stomach with them too. So that's where I like to go for protein that you use your teeth. Protein that you use your teeth for breakfast. So we're talking about eggs. You're like, oh, eggs. But you don't need to have them every day, but try and have them for the majority. And they're so versatile, right? Think about it, you go on holiday, you have an omelette, but we just don't do that here. So think you can have omelets, you can have them boiled, you can have them scrambled, you can have them poached, you can have them fried, and you're like, oh, fried, really? Yes, I'd rather you get your protein in and whatever that looks like for you. And it might not even be just having eggs on toast. You can mix it up with avocado. You can mix it up with some kind of parma ham, whatever floats your boat, just as long as you're getting the protein in, because that's going to help you. And there's a recipe around, I've got a recipe around toast with egg, avocado, and it's that thing about how can you make it fancy. If you really enjoyed a breakfast that you went out and had in a restaurant that was like your avocado, spinach, eggs on toast, how can you recreate that at home? And it's that thing as well, it's going for the options that's going to keep you fuller for longer. So the kind of seeded bread that's going to give you higher protein, the wholemeal bread. I've done a post recently about 2 different types of bread. I'm going to do another one, and which one was deemed healthier. And it actually turned out that the one that would necessarily you think, oh, well, it's a seeded one, but it's a bit of white bread, had more protein than, say, the mixed grain one. So it is that thing about look at your breads. Your breads are a source of protein too, but you also want to get a bit of fiber in there to help keep you fuller for longer. So try to opt for the eggs, the bread with protein in it, rather than going for your cereals. Your cereals are all about high sugary carbs. I am going to be doing a little taste test on a cereal that I've got in the corner of my eye there, and it's really small portions. The portion size is 25 grams, 25 grams. So it's not much at all. So yeah, you want a breakfast that's going to nourish you, that's going to fuel you, going to fill you. And if you're not used to having breakfast, then start off with an egg. Before you hit the coffee, have your breakfast, okay? So I'm just thinking most clients are like, oh, but I have a coffee first thing, I'm not hungry. Try and eat before you have the coffee. And if you're not used to having breakfast, then start off with like 1 boiled egg, then have your coffee and slowly build up. If you can go without having your coffee till you've had a full breakfast till 10 or 11, then try that too, because coffee switches off our hunger cues. It's not that great for our female hormones. So really try and not have a coffee in the morning if you can. If you're emotionally attached to that coffee, just think, why is it? Why is it? It's because I'm tired. Then maybe you need to look at sleep routines. Maybe look at stress that's going on. But think about getting a high protein breakfast in the morning to set yourself up to help you with those period cravings, to help you with the period mood swings too. Now, I'm just going to get some water, get the water in too. All right. And a lot of time, you might have heard about blood sugar levels and that low. So when we're having like a sugary cereal, it will then give us that high and then it'll drop off again. So it's that whole thing that when we have the energy lows, then we're looking for something to pick us up again. So basically you want to be eating meals kind of or snacking every 3 or 4 hours. That's my personal preference. I like to eat regularly. So I like to have something at least every 3 or 4 hours. With all the fitness I do, it's probably a bit more than that. So think about what time you're having breakfast. When are you having for lunch? Are you getting a rumbly belly before lunch? And then you're starving at lunch. So you kind of wolf it down. And then if you're hitting up something like a meal deal, whatever you're having for lunch, again, protein in your lunch. If you've not got a lot of protein, the knock-on effect of that is that after dinner, you're going to be munching on things at night. So if you find you crave more in the afternoon and the evening, and you get the munchies at night, then not only is it because of your period, but also because your body's not being fueled. So you're not filling your body with stuff. And as a result with the blood sugar, you'll get irritability, you'll get moodiness, and you'll get even more hunger. So as there's an imbalance in that, and then you get the PMS and you get the cravings, because your blood sugars drop. So look at getting something protein in. So think about how can I balance my levels of blood sugar by having a consistent 3 to 4 hours feed. And I appreciate if you're somebody who's all about intermittent fasting, then that won't work for you. So what I'm suggesting, if you're not intermittent fasting and you actually want to look at what to do to help your cravings, help your mood, then look at 3 to 4 hours having something. And often people say smaller plates of food. Yes and no, don't trick yourself with the smaller plates of food, because times people have smaller plates of food, which means they're snacking in between. Okay, so think about what you can do to eliminate the sugar highs and lows. And I mentioned there about lunch. So for lunch, I mentioned about getting protein in. So think about what you can have around salmon, spinach, eggs, bit of chicken, turkey, nuts, and look at the balance of that. Like how much of those are you having? Okay, so really want to just summarize what we've covered so far. Protein breakfast, try and eat every 3 to 4 hours for the blood sugar levels, the drops and the highs. Try and avoid having coffee in the morning. That switches off your hunger cues. And then look at avoiding the sugary cereals, the sugary snacks that's going to cause your blood sugar high and lows. So if we're talking about, well, what would you say for a snack? Because I know there's lots of bars out there, right? There's the skinny bars. I've done a review on that recently. And I've got a couple of other bars that I'm just looking at that I'm going to be testing soon. This one is a crunchy nut butter bar, made with 40% real nuts. And another one I picked up today was this vegan one, plant-based one, buttermilk bar. So I'm going to be testing these two out to see what's actually in them and what the nutrition looks like. Now, would I say have these straight up? I've not reviewed them, but I'd say try and avoid them because I imagine there's a lot of sugar in them. So what does it look like? So you want a dairy-free dark chocolate as your snack. So here's a bar here. So dark chocolate you're looking at, I would normally go for 80% above. And you're like, yeah, but Julie can't eat a whole bar. Exactly. Milk chocolate is designed to make us eat more of it. Pringles are designed to make us eat more of it. Lots of these things we have are designed to make us eat more of it. So having this will help with your chocolate hit. It'll be rich in magnesium, healthy fat, 2 squares, and that'll help your craving. And if you're like, oh, but I don't really enjoy it, thing is you're not really hungry, so have something that's going to give you a bit of a chocolate hit. Your taste buds do need to open up to this stuff if you've had milk chocolate all your life. And often clients will say, I've still got that bar of chocolate, I'm not even eating it. Exactly. The milk chocolate is made for you to eat more, crave it, and scoff it down, whereas this stuff will give you some benefits to your body and help you with that. Then look at things like dates and almond butter. So having a dates and almond butter, natural sugars within that, the sweetness of the almond butter too, or having almond butter on a sliced up apple. Clients tend to love that one too. And then coconut yogurt. So if you're going dairy free or you're not a big fan of yogurt, try coconut yogurt. It's a bit lighter, and you can have that with chucking some fresh berries in. Sorry, I've got itch. Some fresh berries. And then, of course, there's things like you can do around celery as well, although a lot of people don't like celery, peanut butter as well, things like that. So think about things you can crush down on. So if you have the Pringles, the crisps for snacks, stuff you can crunch down on. So think about the apples, the pears, the celery. And then if you're someone with sweet tooth, think about the apple with the almond butter, or the peanut butter, but go for high quality peanut butter, not your big childhood brands where you can tell the color is different, right? Go for the darker peanut butter that's high quality. Just watch the salt content. And then think about natural sweetness for dates, because again, dates are quite super sweet, but they're not something that you can eat a whole pack of. Good going if you ever do. So yeah, think about what alternatives you can have to hit the sweet and to hit the savory, and that comes straight from nature, and you can tell a difference. And switch out your processed chocolate to your dark. Yeah, of course this is processed a bit, but you know what I mean. It's not like the milk chocolate. Okay, let's summarize, because I like to keep these to 15 minutes. I know your time is precious and everyone is busy. So first up, in the morning, try not to have the coffee. Eat before the coffee. Protein breakfast. Think about eggs, all the versatility around eggs. Avoid the cereals for breakfast. Yes, you can have porridge with fruit and seeds, but just tune into you might be hungry afterwards and need to hit up something a bit sooner. So avoid coffee. Eat first. Try to get protein in. Yes, you can have berries and porridge, but think about where am I going to get the protein from, because my body's going to be craving it. And check out the protein levels in bread, because that's another great source. And go for something with you know the deal, bit of fiber in it to help keep you fuller for longer too. So protein, bread, eggs, that's your main things. Again, you can still have some hams for breakfast, but again, processed, so stay away from those. So just think about how you can get the eggs in, through the protein, a bit of veg if you like the spinach in the morning with the avocado, what works for you, what's vibrant, what's colourful, that's going to delight you in taste and also in your senses of looking at it. Okay, then once we've done the breakfast, think about eating every 3 to 4 hours for your blood sugar levels, but staying away from the sugary snack. So staying away from sugary snack, as I mentioned, apple with peanut butter or almond butter, go for the high quality brands. Think about what was that one I said? Celery with peanut butter is another one that a client really loved. Coconut yogurt, that was it. Coconut yogurt with yogurts and berries. Things that are going to just satisfy your taste buds, get the sweetness. And then for the savory, think about crunching down on the apples, because it's really about that crunch. And then if you're still not hitting a savory note, think about, whole nuts. Whole nuts, again, you'll not be able to overindulge, but make sure you measure a portion so you don't eat more than you think. They're healthy fats, but again, we can end up having more calories. So that's breakfast, that's snacks. Lunch, again, getting your protein in. Think about your salmon, your tuna, chicken, turkey, getting protein in, like whole protein rather than like packed meats, but whole protein like a chicken breast, a couple of turkey steaks. Turkey steaks are quite good. You get those in Tesco's, but you will need about 2 or 3 of those to fill you. So really think about going for whole protein rather than processed protein. And then if you're hitting up the hunger's hitting snacks in the afternoon, again, same thing as I mentioned, getting the fruit. And making sure you're hydrated. I know I've drunk some water, but making sure you're hydrated, because again, sometimes we're not sure whether we're thirsty or we're hungry. Our body doesn't really know. So making sure that you're hydrated, and check the color of your wee, whether it's straw, Chardonnay color, tell you if you're dehydrated or not. So make sure you're getting the water in, because that will help with the cravings too. And then dinner time, you know what I'm going to say, protein, veg, fiber, the things that keep you fuller for longer, satisfy you. And again, if you still need something, hit up the dark chocolate, hit up the fruit. And if you're still like, I really want some ice cream, then have the ice cream, but measure it out, go for a portion, and add these things in to help balance it out. So you're still having your treat, you're still enjoying food, still rewarding yourself, but it's really about setting yourself up for success from morning to afternoon, evening. And then think about what time you go to bed, because again, you can crave food if you're tired, you're sleepy, especially as we mentioned, the hormone time. You require more calories, your energy might be a bit lower, and you've got these blood sugar and hormones all going on. So think about what you can do to set yourself up for success. Right, I know that's a lot of information. So any questions, give me a shout. But that's tips on how to overcome your PMS cravings, the crazy things that hormones do to us, and what you can do throughout your day to fuel yourself in the day, to snacking, to lunch, to snacks, to dinner, and keep it hydrated. Keep moving your body too. Take care. Catch you next time. Anything else you want to see, drop me a note. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you.